Hey, Fred.
Hey, John.
How you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Oh, I've had a wonderful day. I played a little bit of pickleball today, and for those of you who've been following Fred and John Talks, and by the way, I'm John, and this is
As usual,
Fred.
Fred.
You know that we're into hats.
Actually, my real name is Alfred.
Well, this is the first time I've heard of that.
I was named after my uncle Fred, but his name was Alfred.
I don't think I like the sound of this is Fred. This is Alfred and John.
Right.
It reminds me of Alfred E. Newman. Remember who he was? So this hat, by the way, fans, is for pickleball. It keeps the sun off my ears, the sun off my back, and the sun off my forehead. It hasn't really helped my game. It hasn't really helped my reflexes, but there you go.
Sun on the beach.
So, you know, we love doing this, and we hope you enjoy watching what we have to say and what we think and the topics that we're getting into. If you do, like us on Facebook, tell your friends, email people, let them know that you like Fred and John Talks. It's all about spreading the word. And today, we're going to do a follow-up session. We've done one session on dreams.
Dream interpretation.
Dream interpretations, which is one of Fred's favorite topics. And I'm going to be pretty interested to hear what he has to say about more of the educational and clinical side of dream interpretation.
Yep.
And
we're going to get into the academics of it.
Into the academics of it. So this is kind of tantalizing me. I am an amateur psychologist, so and having been an OBGYN doctor, I did hear patients from time to time talk about their dreams or premonitions.
Yeah.
So with that little intro, Fred, why don't you take it away?
Thank you, John. Okay, I'm going to jump right in because I have 3 loose ends to tie up from the first, from dream interpretation number 1.
Yes, you mentioned that.
And they're important. And after the video, I was kind of kicking myself for, wow, you didn't finish the end of that story. So I'm going to do this in 2 parts, just a brief introduction with my loose ends, and then move on to the academic side of the topic of dream interpretation. For those of you who watched the first episode, and if you haven't, this won't make much sense to you because I'm going to really condense it, but encourage you to go back and watch the first one. But in the first one, I told the story of how I had a recurring dream for just about 2 years that I couldn't make sense of. And then the interpretation of it presented itself with perfect timing, and I started a men's support group.
Yes.
And what I forgot to say last session was when the men's group got started, I never had that dream again. Recurring dreams.
Oh.
They pay attention to all your dreams, but pay attention to recurring dreams because your unconscious is trying to get your attention. And with somebody who is knowledgeable about dream interpretation, like a therapist, it's very important to try to decipher the meaning of a recurrent dream. Anyway, never had the dream again after that, or since. The second thing is I spoke about something that I call in our culture the poverty of the unconscious, or the neglect of it. And I gave a metaphor that to not pay attention to unconscious processes is like having a storage unit filled with treasures, but you never go open the storage unit. And that leads me to say another thing I left out in the first episode, and that is there are tribal cultures, I learned this in my training, there are tribal cultures in the world that are wiser, in my opinion, than modern Americans, who we all think we're so smart. The first thing they do in the morning is gather around and share whatever dreams they remember
Ooh.
And through group discussion, they try to decipher the meaning.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are attuned to the unconscious. To repeat from what I said before, Sigmund Freud said, dreams are the royal road to the unconscious.
Tell me, Fred, this makes me have a question. Does meditation open up that treasure of dreams or the unconscious, subconscious?
Yeah, I'm going to answer my opinion, not my knowledge.
Okay.
I wouldn't be at all surprised because people who meditate go deeper into their
Yes, they do.
conscious, and yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised. For example, if monks, who spend their life meditating and praying, in Christian and Buddhist and otherwise, Hindu, I don't know if they have monks, but yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised if they have a very vivid dream life, and if they pay attention to their dreams. That would be a good
Topic.
study, maybe to include in another episode. But the third thing that I left out brings the biggest smile to my face. I had told the story of a couple that I had counseled. They were engaged to be married, and every few sessions, the woman would come in and want to talk about a dream she had. And her fiancé said, I don't believe people dream at all. I think it's something...
He quashed the whole thing, didn't
Oh, he said, I think it's just something that they kind of glean from their daydreams and stuff. Because he said, I've never had a dream. And I, accept people where they're at. He never remembered a dream. What was I going to say? But I did say, as your girlfriend, your fiancée talks about her dreams, don't be at all surprised if, in your future, maybe long after I stop counseling you, you remember a dream. Well, I didn't have to wait, because it was about a month later, he came in, and I want to refer to my notes. He looked half shocked and half embarrassed, and he said, I had a dream. And he remembered it, and it was very vivid. That's a good example of what I mean by engaging your unconscious. With him, I didn't even do it directly. I just said, you're here, and your fiancée wants to talk about some of her dreams. As I said, don't be surprised if you actually remember a dream, and he did.
You made a suggestion to him, didn't you?
Yeah, power of suggestion.
Yeah.
But then he believed that people dream. And by the way, like I said in the first session, it's been proven scientifically in sleep research laboratories that people dream every night. But most dreams, people don't remember. Okay, for you novices out there, that is novice in the sense of you don't remember many of your dreams, you've never written down a dream, you've never figured out the meaning of a dream. I want to say, pay attention even to what's called dream fragments. So I've had clients come in and say something like, yeah, I had this dream, but I only remember one single part of it. And I encourage it, this was part of my training, I encouraged them to tell me what it was, because that was the most important thing for them to remember. It wasn't important for them to remember the whole dream. And I just made up an example. Here's an example of a dream fragment. It's like a client who comes in and they say to me, yeah, I had a dream last night. Most of it's faded away. All I remember is that I saw a tree that was upside down. The branches and leaves were in the ground. The trunk was above ground and the roots were above ground.
Wow.
And to that, and remember I said Q&A, dream work, question and answer. You got to tease it out. You got to talk about symbols. To that, I would probably ask questions like, ask yourself, currently in my life, what's out of whack? What's the opposite of the way it should be, or the opposite way I want it to be? What's upside down in my life?
You mean like a bank account being upside down?
Yeah, right, yeah. So that's the introduction. And now I am going to move into, and I need my glasses for this, the academics of it. And I'm drawing completely on the teachings of Mike, the trainer. I went to take the coursework. I'm drawing completely on his work. I don't know if he's alive anymore. This was a good 20 years ago. I tried looking him up today online, could not find him. I had hoped that maybe he had written some books, but when you go to a conference, you almost always get a booklet.
Some sort of syllabus to to work from.
It's called Dreams, Awakening Your Sleeping Genius. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to share one by one some of the things I learned, some of the things in this booklet. I'm disappointed that I can't say, yeah, go look it up on the internet and try to access some of this fellow's material. His name is Arthur Bernard, Benard. And maybe you're better at Googling things and tracking them down. I couldn't find him. Arthur Bernard, Benard. He has a PhD and an MFT, Marriage and Family Therapy. Okay, so first we're going to start with the functions of dreams. There are 6, but I'm going to read 5. And I don't need to really go into a big explanation of why. But anyway, 1, dreams give us a symbolic picture of current conditions in our lives. They help us see where we don't. Okay?
So they're actually related to what's going on in our day-to-day life.
That's when dream work is the the most exciting, when you can apply it to your current life.
Okay.
And that's, in my experience of doing dream work with people, that's the majority of the stories, is that it's something going on in their life now. Mm-hmm. 2, dreams can instruct us, provide lessons that are meant to be applied in waking life. Dreams broaden our vision. 3, dreams can provide solutions to our problems and quicken us to new potentials. He has a whole section in here, which I'll get to, but I'm just going to read a few of them, of famous stories of people who had dreams that led to discoveries and all kinds of interesting things.
That is interesting, because I think sometimes, maybe it's dreaming or not, I don't know, Fred, but I'll be in what I call a twilight sleep, and an issue that I've been dealing with maybe for a few days will come up and bubble up in my head, and an answer to what to do.
That's right.
Kind of comes forward.
That's right.
And I don't always get up and write it down, but I'm aware that the solutions.
But as I said in the first visit, and I encourage you, if you want to explore some of your dreams, put a tape recorder beside your bed. It's much better than writing them down, because they're gone so fast in the morning. Like I said, you go in and brush your teeth, come back into the bedroom, and it's gone already.
Yeah.
3, dreams can provide solutions to our problems and quicken us to new potentials. That's exciting.
Yeah.
4, dreams can extend the range of the conscious mind by giving us a peek into the future. They can validate our decisions and warn and motivate us. And I want to pick up on that word warn. I said in the first episode that there is such a thing as the literal warning dream. So let me say that again. Dreams can extend the range of the conscious mind by giving us a peek into the future. They can validate our decisions and warn and motivate us. And lastly, dreams can provide us with experiences of profound spiritual insight. When I was in therapy and kept a dream journal for 2 years, that's what sticks out the most in my life, the growth in my spiritual life. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. The ancient Greeks had what's called dream temples, and they've even, archaeological digs have unearthed some of them. And it was kind of like the modern day version of going to a spa and being pampered. It was for people of all different stripes, people who were looking for some deeper meaning in their life, people who had problems, including maybe some mental health problems, people who were suffering greatly in their life and were not having any relief. And they would go, and I remember my instructor saying, they would be pampered, like what we would call today therapeutic massage, water therapy. And then they would go into this particular antechamber, this room, to sleep and invite a dream.
This was all part of maybe massage or other water therapy as well.
In other words, they were being put in a relaxed
like
state.
Like a spa, almost like a spa.
They were being put in a relaxed state, which, by the way, lowers your mental defense mechanisms.
Yes. Okay.
And opens the mind to the unconscious as well.
Good point.
So I'm just going to read briefly. The dream temples of ancient Greece. In these holy places, dreams were primarily sought for healing value, and many recorded healings took place that we would consider miraculous. The primary goal was to contact what they called the healing God. Okay? So in the dream temples, it was where people could directly seek health guidance and healing in their dreams. Okay. The next section is dreams as questions. And I'm going to give 3 examples among many. Dream. I am in prison and see no way out. Restate this dream in question form. How do I keep myself imprisoned? What negative ideas do I hold that keep me locked up? What options for freedom may I have that are not apparent? This ties in with the modern day approach to methodology and therapy that we've had a couple of videos on. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, as evidenced by what negative ideas do I hold that keep me locked up.
Would this apply to a recurring dream or just a dream, any dream?
Any dream.
Any dream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dream 2. I open a door in my office and discover a new room. Restated in question form. What new possibilities are beginning to open up? Do I need to have more of an open door policy at work? Now this could pertain to people struggling in their careers, people who maybe don't like their jobs, or people who feel they like their jobs but they haven't advanced, as rapidly or as much as they would want to. Okay. And lastly, the dream is a huge tidal wave is bearing down on me. I run away terrified. Restate it in question form. What feelings do I allow to overwhelm me? What do I need to do to face my fears and not run from them?
That almost sounds like something that'd have to be worked out with a therapist if it became a really difficult.
Yes, and I've encouraged that over and over again. And one thing I'm not going to leave out, picking up on this, is I always ask my clients when we're doing dream work, what feelings did you have in the dream? What do you remember feeling? Fear, sadness, exhilaration, and so on like that. So feelings come into play too. Moving right along. Some key questions for responding to dreams. And I'm going to give 7 examples. 1. How are you as dream ego acting in this dream? Or to simplify it, how are you acting in this dream? Are you acting passively? Are you acting proactively? Are you asserting yourself? Okay.
Okay.
2, what symbols in this dream are important to you? I once counseled a woman who came in with a dream fragment, and she dreamt, she said, all I remember is seeing a blue van driving down the street. And I asked her, does a blue van or do vans in general have any particular meaning for you? And at first, she couldn't access it. She was saying no. But then she said, now she was remarried, so she was in her second marriage. But then she said, my first husband cheated on me, and he cheated with a married woman who drove a blue van.
Ah.
Yeah.
And you had to dig that out.
And then we had to unpack that, as we say.
Okay.
3,
Interesting.
what are your various feelings in the dream? I just went through that. 4, what are your various actions in the dream? This ties back into, how are you acting?
Are you just observing, or is it happening to you, or you're participating?
Well, exactly. That's a good illustration of what I said. Are you being active? Are you being passive?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next one. Who or what is the adversary in your dream?
Oh.
Right. And then from there, you might question who in their life are they on bad terms with. Oftentimes, it's with their own family members and close friends.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Next, what is the helping or healing force in your dream? That's a great question to try to tease out. Is there anything that this dream offers you that can be of healing? This harkens back to the ancient Greeks. They were seeking some type of healing in their life. Mm-hmm. And so is everybody now, maybe even more so, because we live in such a high stress modern times.
It occurs to me, Fred, that people today seem to find solace here with their phones and their handheld connections, which I'm not sure really is a connection.
It's not, and it not only borders on, it does become an addiction. I've mentioned in a previous video the book Dopamine Nation. Dopamine is one of the main neurotransmitters that makes you feel good.
Yes.
And it's a fascinating book, and she talks about addictions, not only alcohol and drugs, but electronics and social media and so on like this. Okay. And the last one is really kind of repetitious, but what is being wounded or healed in this dream? And because we've talked about healing so much, I'm going to concentrate on wounded. What is being wounded in this dream? Are you being hurt by something? Mm-hmm. And if so, in the dream, then you phrase it in the form of a question. What in my life right now do I feel wounded by or deeply wounded by?
Mm-hmm. Or afraid of. Maybe there's somebody picking on or bullying this person. It could be a force outside of their control. It could be a workmate or a boss that's bullying them.
And the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And in case I forget to say, repeating from the first one, dreams have meaning for the dreamer. If you and I have a similar dream, they may mean two different things because of what the symbols mean to us.
Okay.
And moving right along, based on the symbols, dream symbols. Symbols are rich in possible meanings. These meanings are personal, whereas archetypal symbols, which I'll get to in a minute, are universal and have similar interpretations for everyone. Dream symbols usually represent an aspect of yourself. That's another point to make. In some dream theory, it is held that almost every element of your dream represents some aspect of you, your personality, your life, your house, your marriage, your kids, and so on. And so people often come in and say, oh yeah, I dreamt about my cousin so-and-so, and really it's about the dreamer. What qualities does your cousin have that you envy, that you don't like, things like that. It's about the dreamer.
Okay.
Okay, so that's dream symbols. Improving dream recall. This is something that I have often over the years made a photocopy of to give to people to help with their dream recall. So I'm going to read these. It's a little lengthy, but bear with me. Record your dreams in a dream journal whenever you recall them. I've talked about this before, and I've suggested a tape recorder. Try to get 7.5 hours of sleep. Most dream time is done in the last hour of this sleep cycle.
Ooh.
If you haven't remembered a dream for some time and have a strong desire to do so, sacrifice an enjoyable habit until you recall a dream. For example, give up chocolate, smoking, alcohol, coffee, even sex until you remember a dream. I don't recommend that one.
Give up coffee?
Not for a month or anything. This technique can be a great incentive to recall dreams. Try and train yourself to wake up naturally. An alarm clock can quickly jar you out of the dream reverie state. And this is a sign of the times. So many people wake up to alarms and the dream is gone.
So that's a dream squasher.
That's a dream squasher.
Oh, okay.
When you awaken, I like this one. Remain still and keep your eyes closed. Focused on the area between your eyebrows and silently ask yourself, what was I dreaming? If nothing comes in a minute or so, ask yourself the same question and remain still for another minute or two. When you record your dream, don't concern yourself with what it means. Just write down all the details you can remember. Another very important one, and that's why I'm reading all of these. Suggest to yourself as you prepare to go to sleep that you will dream tonight and remember it in all its detail. Every time you awaken, expect to recall a dream. When I was doing my dream work, like I said, I dreamt with a tape recorder, and I was waking up, and this is why I stopped after 2 years. It just became too much. I was waking up sometimes between 2 and 4 times a night speaking into a tape recorder, and it just became too much. But
then you'd have trouble going back to sleep.
and sometimes, yeah. But I'm here to tell you, I would not change what I did for those 2 years because it was a time of deep, profound growth in my mental life, in my spiritual life, in my emotional life, in my relational life.
But you're also saying that people can be successful by suggesting to themselves to try and dream tonight, or to give consideration to dreaming and be thinking like that when they go to sleep, when they go off to bed?
Yes, if you recall from the first video, I used the expression, before your head hits the pillow, invite a dream to come to you that night.
Okay.
That's another way of engaging the unconscious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Read books and articles about dreams and discuss this with your friends and family. I'm going to give you the name of my favorite book, although there are probably thousands of books written on dream interpretation. My all-time favorite is Dreams, God's Forgotten Language by John Sanford. And lastly, think about the reasons you want to recall dreams. Motivation is important. Do you want to remember dreams because all your friends do? Or are you more interested in using them for a deeper understanding of yourself? So motivation is important.
Well, and you mentioned earlier they can bring about a solution to a problem or something that's going on in their daily life.
Yes.
So seeking a solution through a dream would be a great idea.
Yes. Pardon my faux pas. There's 2 more when I turn the page over. I forgot about these. Act on the dream message. If you apply the guidance your dreams present, you will begin tying your inner world more closely to your outer world, which in itself will increase dream recall. I'm really glad I didn't skip over this, that I saw this, because if you have a dream, let's go back to the example of your career, your job. And if you have a dream that seems to be pointing you toward, maybe you should ponder and research other jobs out there, or a career change. If you don't act on it, you may stay in a stagnant state in your life. You may stay in a job that you absolutely loathe and dread going to every day. This is not for the faint of heart. And what I mean by this, dreams that call you to take action. Okay?
Good point. Very good point.
And lastly, in many respects, learning to recall dreams is similar to learning any other skill. It requires motivation, a vigilant strategy, and an overcoming of possible resistance, such as fear. That's the main resistance. Fear of change.
So dreams may promote change, and people may fear that changing the status quo is not going to be helpful.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. We're moving on. He gives examples of dream symbols, and it's A to Z, so I'm obviously not going to read all these, but he gives a word starting with A to Z, and then he has a little blurb about what it might possibly symbolize. I will give the first example in its entirety. You dream of having an accident. It's usually a warning of some kind, or like making a wreck of life or a wreck of things if you have an accident. But then he has alley, apples, arrow, automobile, and so on and so forth, and A to Z. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because I want to get to the archetypes. Archetypes is something that the great Carl Jung came up with. Carl Jung, I'm going to read this to you because he does a better job. I looked up the dictionary definition of an archetype. An archetype is a recurrent symbol or motif in literature, art, or mythology. Let me say that again. An archetype is a recurrent symbol or motif in literature, art, or mythology. And there's a phrase, mythological archetypes of good and evil. That is among especially religious people, but I would guess even non-religious people are well aware that there's been a battle going on a cosmic battle going on between good and evil, for eons.
These are predictable symbols.
Yes. Okay, so back to my professor here. There is a part of the unconscious that all people have access to, which Carl Jung labeled the collective unconscious. It is a psychic storehouse for all humankind, and the contents of the collective unconscious are called archetypes, patterns that are found within the unconscious of everyone. Again, to give a few examples, angels are archetypes of spiritual ideals, higher self-image, a guiding angel, a cross, difficulties we have to bear. The cross he's carrying, the cross she's carrying. The way of Christ, also rebirth. One of the elements, fire, at its worst, uncontrolled temper, jealousy, vengeance, hatred, or its opposites are the fires of love, zeal, patriotic fervor, cleansing, and purification. light, mental understanding, insight, spiritual illumination. A river, the course of life, the flow of ideas and emotion, spiritual activity. Notice how much spirituality comes into these archetypes. A star in the heavens may represent something high, a high ideal, high spiritual ideals. There's spirituality again. A tree, support, strength, permanence, dignity, indicates growth and unfoldment. A flowering tree may represent inner beauty, abundance, the promise of the fruits of your labor. Water. This is the last one. Water, the source of life, spiritual depths. There it is again. Feelings and emotions. Deep, clear, still water often represents truth about the inner self. He leadeth me beside the still water, says Psalm 23. Murky water may indicate emotions that are upset or in turmoil.
Yeah, let's go back to star. I'm kind of interested in that because you hear the word star as an application to an actor, an actress, a star player in a sport. Do you think there's any association with that? With dreams? Why do we use the word star as an emphasis in describing somebody?
I've never been asked that.
I just wonder what that means in terms of whether it could be a dream interpretation or not.
Well, it certainly can, as just illustrated by what I read.
Or the
But
interpretation is about a star in the sky, though, right?
well, no, the dream symbol is a star in the sky.
Okay, symbol. Okay.
But what I don't want to flip back to pages, but it can represent high ideas. But going back to your question and answering just off the top of my head, a star is something that fascinates, stands out.
Okay.
Some shine very brightly, some are dim.
An ideal.
And just like stars in Hollywood, there are some that are big marquee stars, and then there are bit players and lesser stars, just like the stars in the heaven.
Okay.
So to half answer your question, yeah, it could tie in with stars, actors and actresses, musicians, and athletes, and why they came to be called stars. That's very interesting thing. And last but not least, this is called Examples of Our Sleeping Genius. Let me remind you that this course was called Dreams, Awakening Your Sleeping Dream Genius. And he gives some examples from history, which he calls a small list of what the dreaming mind can produce. In 1891, the discovery of the second largest gold field in the world resulted from the dream of a down-and-out prospector, Winfield Scott Stratton. George Eastman of Eastman Kodak was on a cruise to Africa when he dreamt of a way to produce color movie film, and even more remarkably, a plan on how to market the new product. Frederick, I can't pronounce his last name, begins with a K. His dream established the foundation of organic chemistry.
Whoa, that's pretty profound.
Another name, I'll try to pronounce it. Niels Bohr's major contribution to atomic physics resulted from a dream he had about the structure of the atom.
Okay.
St. John Bosco's dream led to the founding of the Salesians. St. John Bosco is famous for helping young people.
Okay.
And the Salesians to this day help young people. As a 14-year-old, Albert Einstein's dream led him to the theory of relativity. I wonder how many people knew that.
At 14.
At 14. Led him.
Mm-hmm.
Led him.
Okay.
It didn't give him the answer at 14.
Made him work toward it.
A dream led to Lyndon Johnson's decision not to seek a second term. Salvador Dali's artworks were often creations of his dreams. If you're familiar at all with Salvador Dali, he has those dreams that are all practically impossible to make out what the heck they are. You know, he has a picture of a face and the eyeball's up here, you know, and the mouth is down here.
Very, very unusual art. Very unusual
art. George Frederick Mendel heard the last movements of Messiah in a dream. Messiah is that masterpiece of music that we hear every Christmas.
Yeah.
Or at least I know Catholics do, and I think even Protestants are into it.
Sure.
Handel's Messiah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful piece of work.
I think that should read George Frederick Handel. Yeah, it's Handel's Messiah.
Especially when it's performed by a choral group. It's powerful.
Yes, yes. And the last one for today, and we'll sign off, is Isaac Singer, the American inventor, had a dream that led to the perfection of the sewing machine. Notice led to. You know, these are not, you know, you're handed on a silver platter a dream, and then the next day, you know, it's usually through blood, sweat, and tears.
So they acted on their dream.
Yeah. Another example might be, although I don't think, I don't see anything in here about it, Thomas Edison was said to have conducted a couple thousand different experiments until he finally invented the light bulb. That would be, I would find it very interesting if any dreams along the way helped him. That what I'm illustrating is it's something that leads to finally coming up with the product or the solution to the problem or the, you know, studying the atom and the creation of physics and all the discovery of physics and so on like that. So
there may be a lot of time spent after the dream to get to the end point of an invention or the result of the stimulation of the dream.
Exactly.
You know, Fred, there's a lot of interesting material that you've brought up and stated. I hope people will take an opportunity to watch this and maybe watch it more than once, because there's a lot of specific pinpoint information that people might want to refer to or understand better. And this syllabus, I just wonder, you know, it's possible if they look up the name of it that it may be on Google or some places.
I was unable to find it, and I consider myself pretty good at doing Google searches, but have at it. You know, and if anybody is able to find anything about them, please, you know, make a comment on our YouTube channel, and you know, share what you found.
So with that, we're going to say, dream on, act on your dreams. Think about your dreams.
Pay attention to them.
Pay attention to your dreams, record your dreams, and realize that what Fred is saying and professionals are saying is that they are really actually a symbol of what's going on in your day-to-day life.
Yes,
right.
And I'd like to add a note, which might be a good ending note, on a very endearing story from my own life, but it's very brief. I won't take much more of your time. Back in the day, before I really got serious and started keeping the dream journal, I had a dear friend, a woman that I went to graduate school with, and we would talk about dreams a lot, and I was just getting into it at the time, and then much later, you know, took this course, years later. But she gave me a gift. It was a journal, you know, a book with blank pages. It was about yay big. I have it in the back room. And she said, you know, this is a gift from me to you. She signed her name, and she wrote in calligraphy, "Pay attention to your dreams."
Whoa.
And I did. And I hope you will too.
Thanks again, Fred. We'll sign off with that, and see you next time. Ciao.
Ciao. Woo! You need a push.
Get up.